study the actual cities and they monitor these particular things. Fortunately, the last 4 or 5 years, black people have gone to a certain savage level, and that's good. I'll tell you what I'm talking about. When the Arabs was going across Africa, and right after Muhammad, they went across Africa, and if you didn't submit to Islam, they cut your head off and you died.
First time I saw the prophets pick like, whoa. No one ever told I feel sick like, bro. Stomach all churning what I'm learning like, no. Also have my own flag not burning like, no. Fez a turban on other nations like, whoa. What's wrong with your people's minds like, whoa. Wanna take pics and talk for hours like, yo. Never felt this reppin' black power like, whoa. Never felt this reppin' chematology. Most of your black leaders teach tricknology. Egypt is North Africa, so is Morocco, in the farthest west. Mecca is Chicago, Mississippi, Nile River, Grand Canyon, Pharaoh. I'm Moroccan native, they call the mother spaceship. Disrespect Malik L, call him slave named Malcolm. Speak truth, watch blacks have a tantrum. Masked up like phantoms, age of corona. Catch the Heineken virus, not improper persona. Fall victim to lymphoma, pineal melanoma. Like whoa, when I read the Treaty of Verona. Whoa, when I read the Protocols of Zion. With goosebumps drinking roots of the dandelions, berries of the elders, grass of the lemons. Like whoa, how my people ride with these snitch felons.
People lost start telling like, whoa. Me felon.
Oh, no.
Twin towers explode like 9/11. Times 7 like melting down the church bells to fill a weapon too sick like Catholic priests playing with leeches. My wolf pack tear 'em apart, breaking the leashes. Bad night, bad mission, sad vision, past living, cash missing. I done seen it all before like fast life. Alhamdulillah, Stephallah, cash life. Feds getting involved, switching on flashlights. Allah, we appear like Wallah. Shematar, make 'em calm down, Goose Rabba. CNN show the hoax on the repeat. Corona is over, now George on the repeat. Like how would you survive? Everybody crash Jesus, take the wheel, it's gonna be another rapture. Go to crisiscast.com right now, you'll see that we in the matrix. Right now, George Soros handing out paychecks. Right now, niggas mad cause they ain't get paid yet. Pipe down, I mean pope down. Pause all the savages, they only active to react to what is happening. What's happening? City ordinance, man's rights subjugate the womb, human trafficking.
Islam. GS is about to be crazy. Mufti's going wild.
All of that is black culture. See, but I'm sitting down at the bus stop back in September, and I look down and there's somebody left a Bible there. And I guess the spirit was like saying, well, there's some stuff in there you need to go in and retrieve. And I opened the Bible up and it went to Moab. And then I saw a story on Turner Classics, the story of Ruth. All of this stuff is nothing but, no matter these white faces or whatever, we did live in other lands and we were a universal people. And these stories of our people, that's all over the earth. So they study the actual cities and they monitor these particular things. Fortunately, the last 4 or 5 years,
Tell everyone about Drew Ali, 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 tell everyone. Let the world know Drew Ali came. Brought a flag, religion, and free national name. Brought an ID card, don't flash at the hybrid. Learn about the righteous and when we were the pirates. Ancestral creed, clandestine heed. Warnings of the prophet, they can't intercede. Canaanite, Hittite, Amorite brethren needing new homes to Atlantis direction. North, South, and Central, flag continental. Founder and uniting of the Moorish holy temple of science. Nationality is alliance, always in defiance of their wardship compliance. Active, not passive, estate is massive. Use the compass, draw circles around your passions. Carpenter's tool in the mind workshop. Corsica bandana, covered eyes in bird box. Return to ancestors' mind, descendants of ancients. Forget the mundane, knowledge attainments. Guided by the principles, our own laws and customs. If they teach but don't bring up Drew Ali, don't trust them. Tell everyone about Drew Ali, 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 tell everyone. Tell everyone about Drew Ali, tell everyone about Drew Ali, tell everyone about Drew Drew Ali. Tell everyone about 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 Drew Ali. Tell everyone.
I told a Filipino woman about Drew Ali. We got more into the pedigree. She said she more. I said that meant more to me. Couldn't have this conversation a few years back when I was a few years black. 2,000 years I cried in tears, but I'm back. Still here, thought manifested from a higher tier. I appear spirit and flesh with divine warnings. Choose life or death. I heard my mother utter to the Negro, black or color, African American, and that's another. More be yourself, no other. You're the last puzzle in place, now move others. Hatred, slander, lewdness, murders. The pleasure of the lower, rich in promise, so you can prevent effects from causes. Sow a seed planted, sow a seed groweth. Deep in the soil, with love, truth, peace, freedom and justice. Born on a Friday, I put that on Venus. Created fate, Allah, you's a genius. You sent your last prophet to uplift me, so I gotta tell everybody. Tell everyone about Drew Ali, 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 tell everyone. Tell everyone about Drew Ali, 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 tell everyone.
Never catch me slipping. Pull up in spots we got the drop, they never paid attention. No about the pissing, dirty project calls, conscious missing. Got people jumping on my line like I was going fishing. Bow to my sires. Past life flash right by us. Spike your food so you can't digest. I can't digress. Shining on vampires who can't process. The moon over campfires. We on the move, breaking rules. No, they can't tie us. Can't buy us. Manila envelope deniers. Control times, haters still clocking. Got dirty Moors trying to resurrect the chauffeur, the real prophet. They trying to get the profit like a dollar sign and brackets. Game of tennis, nigga, I'm just here to make the racket. These crooked governments got royalties and cuffs, and all we got is nationality, like art inside a gallery. So pardon.
They all know. There is no contract. I'm just downtown with this thing.
Bone thuggin', not for nothing, never catch me slipping. Pull up in spots we got the drop, they never paid attention. No about the pissing, dirty project calls, conscious missing. Got people jumping on my line like I was going fishing. Bow to my sires. Past life flash right by us. Spike your food so you can't digest. I can't digress. Shining on vampires who can't process. The moon over campfires. We on the move, breaking rules. No, they can't tie us, can't buy us. Manila envelope deniers. Control times, haters still clocking. Got dirty Moors trying to resurrect the chauffeur, the real prophet. They trying to get the profit like a dollar sign and brackets. Game of tennis, nigga, I'm just here to make the racket. These crooked governments got royalties and cuffs, and all we got is nationality, like art inside a gallery. So pardon my mentality. Bloodline stretching like an empire that's all the way from Barbary to Tartary. My mind's ecclesiastic. Prophets show me proofs inside the circle 7. Asiatic, we not Negro, black or colored. Bone thuggin', not for nothing, never catch me slipping. Pull up in spots we got the drop, they never paid attention. No about the pissing, dirty project calls, conscious missing. Got people jumping on my line like I was going fishing. Back on my mission, packed up all my ammunition. Backed off all this competition, they don't got this kind of vision, no. These are the new days of our lives. While my time he ticking, copy by the minute. Got these chakras spinning.
7 in the quadrants, G between the compass squared, Samson between Boaz and Yoakum. Never scared, ships arrive in thousands. We are not alone the way some think. I think they are not us but clones. Looking up drones, staring back. Got track 5G phones, implants, check their heads and their backs. Adam's apple big, what kind of female is that? Eyes color change like a chameleon, plus underwave tracks. Why you sticking out cyborg holes, Miss Frankenstein, no protection needed. Self-lubrication lubricating vagina. So anthropomorphic, then go for more dick than he can give it. An android goes livid. Skynet is NSA, surveillance is global. Since refusal to be noble, force creed is Constantinople. Force GMO, nanotech, air clouds. Sound weapons, heart attack guns for non-social distance crowds.
I'm thugging out for nothing, never catch me slipping. Pull up in spots we got to drop, they never paid attention. No pot to pissin', dirty project calls, conscious missing. Got people jumping on my line like I was going fishing. Back on my mission, packed up all my ammunition. Backed off all this competition, they don't got this kind of vision. No, no, these are the new days of our lives. All my time he taking, copy by the minute. Got these shots for spinning.
Me hurt. This is what you need to know. Stuff you need to know, fellas. Ladies. Stuff you need to know.
I know what Dirty Moors, yeah. I know what Dirty Moors did to Drew Ali. I'm saying, I know what Dirty Moors did. I'm going at dirty rappers, lynching Dirty Moors too. Hiding literature that Drew wrote to warn you. They claim to make you Muslim and make you sovereign. With paperwork and filings, if he out there robbing. They don't care about his words, throw it out like garbage. Or throw it at you when you're active, not passive. When they wanna talk a bounce like off a trampoline mattress. Treat them like a vamp or a teen actress. Get stamped with a brand like a mean savage. This Inquisition divine, all others average. Millennium Renaissance, heroes in our classes. Fed up with the czar controlling fascists. Ask if they heard about Moors, they say no. But Masons, they obviously know. Down the handshakes and rituals with skull and bones. They even know about owls burning Bohemian Grove. I know what Dirty Moors did to Drew Ali. I know what Dirty Moors did. I know what Dirty Moors did. I know what Dirty Moors did to Drew Ali. I know what Dirty Moors did. I know what Dirty Moors did. I know what Dirty Moors did to Drew Ali. I know what Dirty Moors did. I know what Dirty Moors did. I know what Dirty Moors did to Drew Ali. I know what Dirty Moors did. Dirty Moors killed Drew. I read the FBI papers on loyal Moors, emergency fund rapers, Moorish literature and divine bylaw changers. Might as well say Drew Ali was born in a manger. Prophet puts poison aside and his food smelled danger. Got me treating every Moor like a stranger. Grand sheep pumpkins stumbling drunk in their feds. What was proclaimed for every meeting was not read. Some Moors are so active, prophet can't be dead. Thanks Moorish teachers away, I can't be led. Actions speak, then I consider what's said. And what's said was study, then study yourself. Honest to the prophet over Drew Ali. I know what Dirty Moors did to Drew Ali. Everybody wants to be just like Drew Ali, but nobody wants to care about Drew Ali. I know what Dirty Moors did to Drew Ali. I know what Dirty Moors did. I know what Dirty Moors did. I know what Dirty Moors did to Drew Ali. I know what Dirty Moors did. I know what Dirty Moors did. I know what Dirty Moors did to Drew Ali. I know what Dirty Moors did. I know what Dirty Moors did. I know what Dirty Moors did to Drew Ali. I know what Dirty Moors did. I know what Dirty Moors did to Drew Ali. I know what Dirty Moors did. I know what Dirty Moors did. I know what Dirty Moors did to Drew Ali. I know what Dirty Moors did. I know what Dirty Moors did. I know what Dirty Moors did to Drew Ali. I know what Dirty Moors did. I know what Dirty Moors did. I know what Dirty Moors did to Drew Ali. I know what Dirty Moors did.
Dirty Moors did to Drew Ali. You know what Dirty Moors did. We know what Dirty Moors did to Drew Ali. You know what you did. Everybody knows what you did. Peace and love to all the Moors. take a page out of Brother Kush Day's book right now. Peace to all the Moors worldwide. It's been a great 50 days plus so far. It's been a great 50 days plus. Getting knowledge, just keeping in tune. Keeping in tune. So, epilogue. The bridge. This guy, he's funny. He's the best. The 77-day challenge, Moors doing whatever they're doing, over their 77 days, So one of my things was, not cuss anybody out. Been doing all right so far. Any trolls pop up, they get blocked, and that's that. So realize with not having any trolls, without having trolls, and without, without really having them there, you realize that stuff's actually worse than when we're beating people's asses, using every one of their videos and whatever on them. So, we're carrying on, but we just want you to let you know that we already know it's some BS. So we switched off of that. We're still not going to cuss anybody out, but we're going to get into some books and pull out some books that we meant to pull out. We got time now. You know what I mean? COVID can't go outside and all that. Oh, sorry, Omicron can't go outside. You know what I mean? So, now to stay in the house. Might as well go on the shelf. See what's good. Books I didn't get a chance to really pick up. So, honest to all the Moors out there doing their 77-day challenge. Whatever you're doing, honors to you. Whatever day you're at, honors to you. And honors to Brother Sheldon L. for putting out the challenge. I know he's going nuts. He knows like 5 languages or something right now. He's going nuts. So honors to all the Moors. Keep doing what you do. You don't worry. You just keep doing what you do. Especially if it's in harmony with principles, and it's in harmony with the flag, and it's in harmony with the literature, and it's in harmony with Noble Drew Ali, and it's in harmony with, El and Bey and Day and Al and Ali, and it's in harmony with all the things that are Moorish. You do what you do. Don't worry about any of these people telling you can't or whatever. You do what you're supposed to do to save yourself. Forget all that BS. Hopefully, you're vibrating on the frequency enough that you're going to actually be able to find people where you're at, and then you can get with them and, be stronger. Right? So honors to all the Moors who are doing what they got to do, who are doing what they're supposed to do. Peace and love to all you Moors that are active. So we know what Dirty Moors did to Drew Ali, but we don't want to get, people sending death threats to us and all that stuff. So we're just going to take a look at The Princess and the Prophet. Because everybody knows by now, we did the interview with the good brother Jacob Dorman, and it was a good interview. Go check it out. Canaanland Moors, Jacob Dorman, Princess and the Prophet. It's a good interview. Go take that in. But we're not doing an interview today. We just wanted to check this chapter right here, talking about the bridge. This guy's good. I come to set you free from the state of mental slavery that I found you in. Noble Drew Ali. Chicago during Prohibition was a city transfixed by the spectacular staccato violence of gangsters, Tommy guns, the rattle of Samuel Insull's electrifying L trains. L trains? This is what he said. L trains. Right? And the explosive pop of news photographers, magnesium powder, camera flashes. It was a city in which politicians, prosecutors, and even corporate titans were joined at the hip, flashed to the profitable rackets of the thugs, bootleggers, pimps, madams, and gamblers. It is easy to see how deaths that were not preceded by a blaze of gunfire slipped into the shadows in the spaces between so many Commonwealth Edison-powered electrical lights. In any event, Noble Drew Ali and the Moors suffered from a first mover problem common to innovators in many fields. The most successful companies are often not those who face the stiffest headwinds with a revolutionary product, but the imitators who draft off the leader's success and then sprint past them when they falter. Around 1928, a diminutive migrant from Georgia named Elijah Poole, who worked at the Chevrolet Motors plant in Detroit, joined the Morris Science Temple of America, and a black version of the Shriners. He saw Noble Drew Ali speak in Detroit and became a passionate advocate of the Moorish version of Islam. The Moors bestowed upon him a series of names. First, Muhammad Ah, then Elim Ah Muhammad, and finally, Muhammad Ah Fanu Bey. The year after Prophet Noble Drew Ali's death, an ethnic Pashran from Afghanistan, who may have belonged to the Morris Science Temple in Detroit, called himself Wallace Fard and started his own order, which he would call the Allah Temple of Islam, which teachings were very similar to Noble Drew Ali's. In fact, rumors circulate that Fard had joined the Morris Science Temple under the name David Ford L. and risen to the rank of Grand Sheikh of the Chicago Temple in only a month, although there is no solid corroboration of that story. It seems frankly impossible that an outsider could have climbed so fast in such a short period of time, particularly when Drew Ali was digging in and battling Green and others within the movement. And there is no mention of Ford in any MSTA or newspaper accounts, which were quite clear about the personalities in leadership positions in the temple. In any case, Nation of Islam legend has it that when the police attacked Ira Johnson Bay in September of 1929, Ford L. vowed to bring America to its knees in retribution, a prediction that was fulfilled, they say, by the stock market crash in October 29. Drawing on interviews with NOI members, Carl Evans reports that Ford L. claimed that the crash proved that he was the reincarnation of Noble Drew Ali, and that he attracted thousands of Moors as a result. Remember, don't remember, go talk to Jacob S. Dorman. And then when you talk to him, make sure you go back and you ask him about Muhammad Fanu Bey, which was Elijah Muhammad's name before he called himself Elijah Muhammad, and all that stuff with Ford L and starting the Nation of Islam and all that stuff, because, you know, that's its own entity and it has nothing to do with Moors, even though they wore fezzes in the early days and all that stuff, but it has nothing to do with Noble Drew Ali. It's absolutely disconnected from Noble Drew Ali, but Muhammad used to be a Bey. Fard used to be a L. And they were in the temple, like everybody else was in the temple. And because they were too coward to carry on the tradition of put up the sign and leave the stuff as it was, they're going to play around like they're Noble Drew Ali. We're gonna do this one again. Let me do this one again. In any case, Nation of Islam legend has it. Nation of Islam legend. No more Science Temple of America legend. Nation of Islam legend has it that when the police attacked Ira Johnson Bay in September 1929, Ford L. vowed to bring America to its knees in retribution. A prediction that was fulfilled, they say, by the stock market crash on October 29th. Drawing on interviews with NOI members. NOI members? Carl Evans reports that Ford L. claimed that the crash proved that he was the reincarnation of Noble Drew Ali. So if he's the reincarnation of Noble Drew Ali, how come they keep calling him Master Fard and all that stuff? How come he's reincarnation of Noble Drew Ali and they're talking about Master Fard? How are they talking about Master Fard? Because it's interesting how they're not going to talk about their stuff, but they're going to talk about Moors. They're not going to bring up everybody else's BS, but they're going to talk about BS with Moors. When we're telling you, make sure you go talk to these people who are saying stuff. Don't come at Moors. And how come all this time passed and there's no refuting of anything? Because everybody goes to JSTOR. So if you're not saying no, then that means that's what it is. You acquiesce. So going back to this bridge. The elephant in the room that nobody wants to deal with. That I don't care what you call it, it came out of Drew Ali. Because Gary's already deported, so there ain't nobody else. Who else what we looking at here? Who else is around? And as soon as they got Drew Ali out the way, the splinter happened. And NOI sources say that Fard was saying he was Prophet Noble Drew Ali reincarnated because the stock market crashed. But they're not going to bring up 1928 Pan American Conference where Noble Drew Ali went to, put them on notice of the status, and that's what caused the stock markets to crash. Has nothing to do with reincarnated Noble Drew Alis. So go talk to Erdman Beyan. Erdman Don Benan. Right? Benan, non-Bay. The Nation of Islam, usually known as the Voodoo cult, belongs to a chain of movements arising out of the growing disillusionment and race consciousness of recent Negro migrants to North industrial cities. The attention of the general public has been directed to sensational episodes in the history of this cult, such as the occurrence of human sacrifice. But the reorientation of the personality of its members has been ignored. The members of the cult have been isolated from the social organization of the community in which they live, but they have maintained their functional relationship in the metropolitan economy from which they derive their means of livelihood, and in which they have been able to make more satisfactory adjustments. As a result of the teaching of this cult, they have gained a new conception of themselves and regard themselves as superior rather than inferior to other people. The Negro sect, known to its members as the Nation of Islam or the Muslims, and then you have to put black in front of that because you already know. But to the police, as the Voodoo cult, has significance for social science research, particularly because of its synthesis of heterogeneous cultural elements and partly because of its unique expression of race consciousness. That unique expression came from Moorish Science Temple of America. That unique impression that they make. That's how all Moors are supposed to be. They're just calling themselves something different than Moorish Science Temple or Moorish anything, when really that's what they should be doing. The fruits of Islam is not supposed to be for just their limited thing. That's the Mufti force. That's the military. African Legion, Carlos Cooks and them. What do you think that is? It's looked at as some black organizational stuff. That's not what that is. If they're sovereign in their own land, that's the military. But no, they don't want to play that. They want to play organization games. They don't want to deal with nation. They want to deal with race. Right? Spelling, Muslim, pronounced Muslim. This is one of the changed pronunciations by which initiates recognize each other. The Moorish Americans also are Muslims, but pronounce the word as spelled. Do you see how they can take Fard Muhammad, prop him up as Noble Drew Ali, and then take the teachings of Noble Drew Ali and take something like Muslim, mispronunciate it as Muslim, put black on it, and now people aren't looking at that. Hold on a second. Noble Drew Ali just said that we're not black. So how's the reincarnation of Noble Drew Ali telling us that we're black Muslims? If he's the reincarnation of Noble Drew Ali, then that would mean that they still got Holy Quran of Moorish Science Temple and all that, right? That would mean they still have 101 questionnaire. They don't need problem book and all that stuff. They don't need that. What do you need that for? If he's reincarnation of Noble Drew Ali, why is there new stuff? If he's reincarnation of Noble Drew Ali, shouldn't they be doing the same stuff that the Moorish Americans are doing? Why would he be reincarnation of Noble Drew Ali, but he's saying people are black and we're Muslims and talking colored? Interesting. Quite interesting. The Prophet. I thought he was master. The Prophet. Although the Prophet lived in Detroit from July 4th, 1930 until June 30th, 1934, virtually nothing is known about him, save that he came from the East and that he called Negroes of North America to enter the Nation of Islam. His very name is uncertain. He was known usually as Mr. Wali Farad or W.D. Fard, though he used also the following names: Professor Ford, Mr. Fard Muhammad, M.F. Muhammad Ali. M.F. Muhammad Ali. So if he was a Ali, if Fard Muhammad is a Ali, and he's saying that he's the reincarnation of Noble Drew Ali, then logically they shouldn't have a flag with a crescent moon and stuff like that, right? They should just have the red flag with the green 5-point star, because that's reincarnation of Noble Drew Ali. Logically, common sense will tell you, well, if JSTOR has it up that he was an Ali, Prince and the Prophet is telling you that NOI sources say that he's reincarnated Noble Drew Ali, and he was promoting it as that. I'm Noble Drew Ali reincarnated because look, the stock market crashed, and that's the sign of the prophecy that I'm back. And everybody fell for it. Imagine somebody came right now and said, oh yeah, I'm C. Freeman, I'm back, or whatever like that, and starts telling you about, so we're going to take these, discharge the bonds and whatever, and then you're chasing him. The C. Freeman reincarnated. And all the lessons that he got, you just put that over there. And then these people aren't pushing any of the lessons that C. Freeman was teaching that you have. But you're gonna look at them and say that they're the people, they're the ones that we should be following. And then you sit back and say, well, hold on a second. So if it was like that back then, what difference is it? Has anything changed? Aren't the people still gullible and naive? Get played by the day, by their own people are Alis and all that. Telling you out their own mouth they're Noble Drew Ali reincarnated, and you miss something. I see you missed something. I see. Awakened already to a consciousness of race discrimination, these migrants from the South came into contact with militant movements among Northern Negroes. Practically none of them had been in the North prior to the collapse of the Marcus Garvey movement. A few of them came under the influence of the Moorish American cult, which succeeded it. The effect of both these movements upon the future members of the Nation of Islam was largely indirect. Garvey taught the Negroes that their homeland was Ethiopia. The Noble Drew Ali, the prophet of the Moorish Americans, proclaimed that these people were descendants of Moroccans. The newer migrants entered the social milieu in which the atmosphere was filled with questions about the origin of their people. Long before their new prophet appeared among them, they were wondering who they were and whence they had come. And then Noble Drew Ali presented that we know who we are. We're descendants of Moroccans, born in America. What's your nationality? Moorish American. What's his nationality? Moorish American. The 1913, you're black Asiatic. You're under some banner of Nation of Islam. You got some European up there talking about he's your prophet. And then you're honoring that. You want to know why our people's conditions suck? You really asking why? You know what Dirty Moors did to Drew Ali? The prophet's message, remember when they say the prophet, they're talking about fired with this. This is how good you know they are. This is how good they are. Right? This is how good they are at jacking the energy. And then remember, it's only going to their self for self. Because everybody else has to go pay their tickets and do whatever they're doing. Just like your average Negro. You ain't nobody. Only the heads are somebody. Stole these whole people's birthright. Going around the world getting finance from other people and all that stuff. The little stuff that they think that they get is what it's about. When you start presenting real life and social issues, psychological issues, they realize it's not in the discussion. It's only in the discussion with Moors. Solving the problem. And you're not solving the problem until you have a nationality. I don't care what you claim you have. If what you have isn't under a nationality, that's not yours. Somebody's going to come get that. Whether it's after you're gone, they're going to come get it, or they're going to come get it right now because you're stateless. And all these organizations' position is to keep you in statelessness, even Moorish ones. You know, you keep playing this club cult thing. When we're a nation of people. And if we don't be a nation of people, then we don't have anything. It's that simple. And the ones who have knowledge will, benefit. And the ones who don't will suffer. And you're just gonna have to sit there and watch them suffer because this is for them to do. It ain't nothing to do with you. So I Drew Ali said, hey, be yourself. It'll surprise me if more would do right. There's only a handful is going to be saved, fingers left over. Because everybody left you for dead. Everyone left you. Got Noble Drew Ali out the way, and then they left you for dead. The Prophet explains. Right? To give more systematic character to his teaching, the Prophet himself prepared certain texts which served as authoritative manuals of the religion and were memorized verbatim by all those who became members of the Nation of Islam. Sounds like you have your own mind. Or is your mind being under occupation? The Prophet's teaching was in substance as follows. And keep in mind, when you say the Prophet, they're talking about Fard Muhammad. They're not talking about Noble Drew Ali when they're the Prophet. They're not talking about Muhammad. They're not talking about Jesus and all that stuff. They're talking about Fard Muhammad. And again, you have to put it in your mind that if they're calling him Prophet, if anyone is calling anyone Prophet from 1930 onward, whoever they're calling Prophet is a reincarnation of Noble Drew Ali. What does that tell you? If everybody wants to be him, if everybody wants to be Noble Drew Ali, then what's that tell you? Why don't you just say Prophet Fard? What type of influence are they trying to sway by claiming that they're Noble Drew Ali reincarnated in 1930? And then Noble Drew Ali is assassinated in 1929. You think that's not a mind game that they're playing on people? Advanced mind game? You know what type of advanced mind game they're playing on people in 1930s? Knowing that these people are in a grievous state, we're gonna use Noble Drew Ali's name at this time to draw their attention in their grievous state. You know how low down dirty that is to take advantage of somebody while they're grieving? You know how low you are? To stoop that low, to deceive your own by claiming to be Noble Drew Ali, instead of just being yourself like Noble Drew Ali said. If you're Noble Drew Ali, then why aren't you being yourself? I thought you said, you didn't say be a reincarnation of somebody. Prophet. The Prophet never said, be my reincarnation. If that's the case, then everybody's Noble Drew Ali. What are you talking about? Who are you that you're the reincarnation and somebody else isn't? The Prophet's teachings was in substance as follows. The black man in North America are not Negroes, but members of the lost tribe of Shabazz, stolen by traders from the holy city of Mecca 379 years ago. The Prophet came to America to find and bring back to life his long-lost brethren, from whom the Caucasians had taken away their language, their nation, and their religion. Here in America, we are living other than themselves. They must learn that they are the original people. noblest of the nations of the earth. The Caucasians are the colored people, since they have lost their original color. The original people must regain their religion, which is Islam, their language, which is Arabic, and their culture, which is astronomy and higher mathematics, especially calculus. They must live according to the law of Allah, avoiding all meat of poisonous animals, hogs, ducks, geese, possums, and catfish. They must give up completely the use of stimulants, especially liquor. They must clean themselves up, both in bodies and their houses. If in this way they obeyed Allah, He would take them back to the paradise from which they had been stolen, the holy city of Mecca. And then they made Chicago their headquarters, right? That's a fact still right now, right? In Chicago. And then Noble Ali said Mecca is going to be Chicago. And then Fard's teaching them that their paradise is the holy city of Mecca. But they don't have more Science Temple on the building in Chicago. But they are reincarnated Noble Ali's picture up in there, I bet you. I bet you they have reincarnated Noble Ali up in there. So if they have reincarnated Noble Ali in the building, a chair or something, then why don't they? Why is their sign saying something different if they're... No, you're still not convinced? Yeah. Those who accepted his teachings became new men and women, or as the Prophet expressed it, were restored to their original and true selves. As a mark of this restoration, the Prophet gave them back their original names, which the Caucasians had taken from them. Since a sum of money, usually $10, was required to secure the original name, this work must have been extremely profitable to the Prophet. Each new believer wrote a separate letter asking for his original name, which the Prophet was supposed to know through the Spirit of Allah within him. Examples of the changed names. Joseph Shepard became Jam Sharif. Lindsay Garrett became Haziz Allah. Henry Wells became Anwar Pasha. William Blunt became Sharif Allah. Apparent mistakes sometimes occurred when 3 or more brothers applied for new names, neglecting to mention in their letters that they were blood brothers. Thus, despite his omniscience, the Prophet once gave the surname of Sharif Karim and Muhammad to 3 pool brothers. The Prophet explained his seeming mistake as due to his divine knowledge of the different paternity of the 3 brothers. Compiled from the 3 texts issued by the Prophet, Teachings for the Lost Foundation of Islam in a Mathematical Way, consisting of 34 problems. This text was printed but given only to registered Muslims. Secret Rituals of the Nation of Islam, Part 1. The secret ritual was, and still is, transmitted orally. The entire teaching is symbolic and can be understood only by initiates. Oh, and a FYI in the chat. They had to pay to file with the state, etc., out of their own pockets. Wonder where the $10 went. Yeah, for real. And, based on, you see what they got today, you know where everything went. People have 5 Moorish houses and all that stuff, And then they're telling you, so okay, so they're telling, okay, so let's get this straight. Let's get this straight. Let's go back here a second. So original Noble Drew Ali said, you're not Negro, black, colored, you're Moors, free national name El Beide Al Ali. Reincarnated prophet is saying Sharif and Allah and Pasha and all that. Shouldn't he be saying El Beide Al Ali if he's reincarnated Noble Drew Ali? If he's reincarnated Noble Drew Ali, then that would mean that he should be saying the same stuff that Noble Drew Ali was saying, logically. Shouldn't he be saying the same thing that, I mean, if you're gonna get a free name, right? And the mark of your restoration back into yourself in the paradise of the holy city of Mecca, which is Chicago, because you never know these people go back to any Mecca over there. So was every time he said Mecca, was he talking about over there? When he said Mecca, was he talking about over there? And if he was talking about over there, why are they in Chicago over here still? Shouldn't they be back in the paradise of Mecca by now? So that means he would have actually knew that Noble Drew Ali said Mecca, Chicago, in order for him to claim that he's Noble Drew Ali, and then claim that there's a paradise in Mecca, and we have it right now. Allah ordained this temple of Islam for you to denationalize yourself and go back to being Negro. And then you went for it. You didn't say, hold on a second, what? Why do I gotta change my name to be part of your stuff? I'm a Bay. I'm L. I'm Ali. Like what? Why are you telling me you gotta get a new name? It's interesting. This is the same stuff people doing today. The same stuff people are doing today, right? Same deal. No Drew told you nationality is free. Here they come. Calling themselves reincarnated Noble Drew Ali, and they got something for you. Inherent apparently in the Prophet's message were certain teachings which, from the very beginning of the movement, led to schisms within the membership of the cult and to persecution from without. The Prophet proclaimed that his followers did not belong to America. They were citizens of the holy city of Mecca, and their only allegiance was to the Muslim flag. Thought they were Muslim though. Oh, you interchangeable? Synonymous? Succotash is synonymous. They're just using them together? Okay, so he's reincarnated Noble Drew Ali, right? The holy city of Mecca, for them, is Chicago. Noble Drew Ali said that Chicago is going to be Mecca. Right? Their only allegiance is to the Muslim flag, not to America. Right? But they're going to get IRS finance. They're going to get IRS finance which is the same stuff that they're saying that they're not part of, they don't belong to that, but then they're helping the jail program with the guys who they're not part of. Like what is this? What is this? They're playing some type of game with you. Oh, their children must be removed from the public schools and sent to the University of Islam. You know, we try to say every temple is supposed to have a school. So reincarnated Noble Drew Ali, reincarnated Noble Drew Ali said, University of Islam. Noble Drew Ali said, Morris Science Temple of America. Now every temple is supposed to have a school. And then if the circle 7 is the earth plane and all that stuff, then that means, you know, it's teaching you pretty much everything you need to know, at least on the planet Earth. What? I met an individual who met a Moor in jail who taught him certain things and got him to get a kosher meal inside. Right? And that's not getting some finance from the state to do that. Right? Now remember, open ears. In revolt against this position, Abdul Muhammad, one of the first officers in the temple, seceded and organized a small Muslim group of his own in which the cardinal principle was loyalty to the Constitution of the United States and to its flag. The attendance officers of the Board of Education and the police attempted to break up the University of Islam and to compel the children to return to the public school. This led to a severe riot in which members of the cult tried to storm the police headquarters. Fearful of race riots, the judges of the Recorder's Court released with suspended sentence almost all of the rioters. Since that time, the University of Islam has continued its classes. More serious difficulties arose over the question of human sacrifice. The Prophet's position on this question was never made clear. He taught explicitly that it was the duty of every Muslim to offer as sacrifice 4 Caucasian devils in order that he might return to his home in Mecca. The Prophet also taught that Allah demands obedience unto death from his followers. No Muslim dare refuse the sacrifice of himself or his loved ones if Allah requires it. On November 21st, 1932, the people of Detroit became conscious of the presence of the cult through its first widely publicized human sacrifice. A prominent member, Robert Harris, renamed Robert Kareem, erected an altar in his home, 1249 Dubois Street, and invited his roomer, John J. Smith, to present himself as a human sacrifice, so that he might become, as Harris said, the savior of the world. Smith agreed, and at the hour appointed for the sacrifice, Harris plunged the knife into Smith's heart. Sound like Dexter. After constant recurrences of rumors on human sacrifice or attempted sacrifice, on January 20th, 1937, Verlene McQueen, renamed Verlene Ali, brother of one of the assistant ministers, was arrested as he prepared for the ceremonial slaying and cooking of his wife and daughter. This sacrifice was, as he said, to have cleansed him from all sin. So again, we're talking about what happens, how off path you can go. The War of Peace. Talks about the Art of Peace. The Art of Peace talks about if you're 1 inch off the path, you're way off. So see how far off the path of nationality and birthrights these people are, because they wanted to play Noble Drew Ali Reincarnated instead of Honor the Prophet, who everybody knows that he was the man. And for them to throw all the stuff on the street lets you know that they had backing to be doing crazy stuff like that. And then do all that selling out to have an offshoot group, have an offshoot group that has an offshoot group that got people called Ali and stuff like that, and then they're doing human sacrifice under the name of their Nation of Islam. But they got Ali's and Bays and L's and whatever. But they're NY. Their free name is Ali, and they're telling them that's some Muslim thing. But the guy who gave him Ali's name is Noble Drew Ali Reincarnated, not his name that his mom gave him. These cases of human sacrifice have directed to the cult much attention from the police department, so that the cult has been forced to pursue many of its activities in secret. The question of sacrifice has led also to serious internal clashes. Rebels against the will of Allah, as they are called, have left. The comments made in these have nothing to do. Just so you know, the will of Allah, that's not us. That's not the will of Allah, iron cheek stuff. It's not that. Just so you don't get caught up. Rebels against the will of Allah, as they are called, have left the temple and organized another temple of Islam, desired to maintain the framework of the cult but to avoid human sacrifice, and necessity of which as an expiation of sin forms one of the most hotly debated subjects among the cult members. Persecutions and schisms alike have tended to increase the cultural isolation of the members of its group. The effect of the schisms was selective, leaving with parent organization those who were bound together by common attitudes and common loyalties. Attacks made on the cult by the police department have been instigated usually by the leaders of Negro organizations. These persecutions have led naturally to a greater solidarity among the cult members and to constantly increasing isolation of the Muslims from other residents of the Detroit Negro community. Oxford Islamic Studies Online. Oxford Islamic Studies Online. Citation for the End of Times and Fulfilling of the Prophecies, 1927. Noble Drew Ali was the founder and prophet of the Moorish Science Temple of America, one of the first successful African-American Islamic organizations. Little is known about the true background of Drew Ali. He claimed to have been born Timothy Drew in North Carolina, and rumors state that he joined a circus troupe through which he traveled to Morocco or Egypt, where he converted to Islam. While he also claimed that in 1913 was the year that he founded the MSTA, there is no record of the group until late 1926, when several of its temples opened in Northeast, and that time Drew Ali indicated that it was only in 1925 that the group was first officially organized. Drew Ali taught that African Americans were neither black nor Negro. They were in fact Moors, and that their true religion is Islam. According to Drew Ali, African Americans are descendants of the biblical Moabites, who he claimed had come to rule northern Africa, where they were known as Moors. Drew Ali attributed the oppression and difficult conditions of African Americans to their not knowing their true heritage. It would only be through embracing their Moorish nationality and religion of Islam, whose principles he claimed were love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, African Americans would be able to improve their conditions in the United States. Drew Ali told listeners that Marcus Garvey, with his black nationalism, had prepared African Americans for the full message that Drew Ali had come to profess. The MSTA's main text is known as the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, or the Circle 7 Quran. Published by Drew Ali in 1927, it is largely composed of unattributed borrowings from two other esoteric works, Levi Dowling's The Aquarian Gospel of Jesus the Christ, and the book whose true author remains obscure, Unto Thee I Grant. However, the last chapter of the work, which is excerpted below, was entirely original to Drew Ali and contains several of his core ideas. The last prophet in these days is Noble Drew Ali, who was prepared divinely in due time by Allah to redeem men from their sinful ways, and to warn them of the great wrath which is sure to come upon the earth. John the Baptist was the forerunner of Jesus in those days, to warn and stir up the nation and prepare them to receive the divine creed which was to be taught by Jesus. In these modern days there came a forerunner who was divinely prepared by the great God Allah, and his name is Marcus Garvey, who did teach and warn the nations of the earth to prepare to meet the coming prophet, who was to bring the true and divine creed of Islam, and his name is Noble Drew Ali, who was prepared and sent to this earth by Allah to teach the old-time religion and the everlasting gospel to the sons of men, that every nation shall and must worship under their own vine and fig tree, and return to their own, and be one with their Father God Allah. The Moorish Science Temple of America is a lawfully chartered and incorporated. Any subordinate temple that desires to receive a charter, the Prophet has them to issue to every state throughout the United States, etc., that the world may hear and know the truth, that among the descendants of Africa there is still much wisdom to be learned in these days, for the redemption of the sons of men under love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. We, as a clean and pure nation, descend from the inhabitants of Africa, do not desire to amalgamate or marry into the families of the pale-skinned nations of Europe, neither serve the gods of their religion, because our forefathers are the true and divine founders of the first religious creed for the redemption and salvation of mankind on earth. Therefore, we are returning the church and Christianity back to the European nations as it was prepared by their forefathers for their earthly salvation. While we, the Moorish Americans, are returning to Islam, which was founded by our forefathers for our earthly and divine salvation. The covenant of the great God Allah, honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be longer upon the earthland, which the Lord thy God hath given thee. Come, all ye Asiatics of America, and hear the truth about your nationality and your birthrights, because you are not Negroes. Learn of your father's ancient and divine creed, that you would learn to love instead of hate. We are trying to uplift fallen humanity. Come and link yourself with the families of nations. We honor all true and divine prophets. Noble Drew Ali, the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, or the Circle 7 Quran, 1927, Oxford University Press. So the last prophet in these days, remember this is 1927, it says these days. So if we read that now, what's that tell you? What's that tell you? The last prophet in these days is Noble Drew Ali. Right? Wrath is already on earth. And you see Brazil flooding right now. Right? Who knows? Maybe somebody blew the dam. Why would they blow their own dam? Maybe all that's the judgment stuff in the South that Noble Drew Ali is telling you, get your people out the South. You gotta get to some highland. North higher. South lower. The wrath is on right now. Why? Because they denied their own prophet that came to them in the 1920s, due to the fact that people claim to be reincarnations of him, opposed to just being themselves and giving him his honors, so that we can have some salvation. But they just wanted their selfish self to be saved and have you going through all the BS that you're going through right now. All the generational curse stuff that you're holding right now. As more, you realize that these damn people, these people who don't know their self, messed up the stuff. So now you got to do triple the work to make up for the work that certain people didn't do. But it's all good because we're here. We're here. We're here as Moors, and all is well. You know, it's just, you know, unfortunate for the ones who don't want to let go of their sinful ways. Because like Drew Ali said, you know, the world needs to hear and know the truth, that among the descendants of Africa, there's still much wisdom to be learned in these days. You think you know something, and you don't even know what love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice is as far as principles. And they never told you. They're not going to tell you, because they're not the prophet. And as you know, the reincarnated prophet's going to be down with human sacrifice. Reincarnated prophet's going to be down with calling you everything except El Bede, Al, and Ali. Reincarnated Noble Drew Ali is going to be down with telling you about the flag of Muslims. He's going to be down with everything that the original Noble Drew Ali wasn't down with. And then the ones on this side The Moor Science Temple of America is lawfully chartered and incorporated. Any subordinate temple that desires to receive a charter, the Prophet has them to issue to every state throughout the United States, etc. Throughout the United States and beyond, they have a charter to give. So how come everywhere is not chartered? And how come you try to get a charter today, in these days and times where people need the Prophet more than anything else? You gotta pull all your teeth out before you get a charter. And we only got charters, Moorish Holy Temple of Science Charter and Moorish Science Temple of America Charter. We only got those because of the sincerity of the Moors who we first connected with. Because guarantee you that if it was any other Moors, we wouldn't be chartered. We would just be another Moorish whatever out here trying to do something because these people sold out. Give honors to the Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, and everybody who tried to let us know. You know Fonzarelli? You know Fonzarelli? Do you know Fonzarelli? Hey! So, what's Howard now? It never made sense to you. It never hit you. It never hit you? Once, Howard's son, Richie, asked Al Divisio Al Molinaro, the owner of the local high school hangout, if he was going to the lodge dance. No, I'm not allowed. I don't have enough spots yet, but someday I'll be a poopa, a duda, or even a poopa duda. I know it's a dream, he sighed. The Leopard Lodge in Happy Days, 1950s. Leopard Lodge number 462. Grand Pooba. The youngins aren't going to know about Happy Days. The youngins. I know Disney's letting you know. You never seen this one. You already know this is Disney. And then he has his fez on. Oh. Yeah. Waiting for Kingsman. Kingsman's pretty good. Yeah, Matrix was disappointing. Tell you that. That was some boo. That was some big boo. You could tell it wasn't the mother that created that one. That was boo. There was no soul in that Matrix. That was all cinematrix. That's all. I would just get people's finance. Because mothers sued their ass. And all the dummies got them. People sleeping in the Matrix. If you don't know by now, sorry. If you don't know, then sorry. You don't know. If everybody knows and you don't know, you have to start wondering about yourself. Why don't you know? Why don't you know? Everybody knows and you don't know. Everybody knows. Fat Al knows. You know the Nuapians know. They really said it. They really. The Moorish giant's name was Moor. Really? You're really not getting it. You're not getting it. Now, remember, Aaron Moore is from Carolinas. So if Aaron Moore is from Carolinas, and they call him a Moorish giant and all that, did it tell you something? Are you that naive for real? Not that you can't be, because it's your mind. You do what you want to do with it. You do what you want. Charles Mosley Bay. PhD, LLD, 3rd, 33rd, 360 degree. Master Mason. Free Moorish Master Astrologer. Moorish Constitution Lawgiver. And the stuff you're scared of. Stuff you're scared of. Whoa! Scared of stuff. Scared of stuff. I, from the creator of the universe, representing mother and child, from hence you came. Self. Each one of us is a trinity, thus being the symbol of civilization. L, law, length, angle, and width of the cosmic energies that marked you. Am, the joining of two trinities, male and female, principles, the triune which creates another I am. Master, this being the glyph for the planet Earth of which we are on, and aspire to be master navigators upon. Islam. Honors to CMB for bringing us the clock of destiny and the circle of life. There's Aaron Moore again, fezzes up. You got him fezzes up. Why is he the Moorish giant? He's a Moorish giant. Peace and love to all the Moors worldwide. Supreme honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Supreme honors. Supreme honors to the Moors. Supreme honors to the Moors worldwide. Keep living by the principles, Moors. Allah is the greatest. Keep living by your principles. Honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Honors to all the Moors, Els, Bays, Days, Als, and Alis worldwide. Peace and love to all. Islam.